Now you might protest that the obstacle-goal relationship doesn't apply to other things like artistic genius, but I think it does. I come from a family of fairly talented artists, and I think I can safely say that most painters aim to express themselves in such a way as to share ideas and invoke contemplation in the minds of their audiences by producing something interesting. This simply cannot be done with a blank canvas, and that is why complexity arises in painting. There are facets of human psychology at work which determine how we define and interpret art, and like the laws of the universe, these facets are largely outside of our conscious control because most of our brain's interpretive functions are exceedingly automated, as multitudes of tests can show.
We'll try it right now. I'll give you a list of words. With each word, simply name the color in which it's printed, ignoring what the word says. Okay? We'll start off. Red, black. Easy. Okay? Now try it again. Same instruction. Name the color in which the word is printed. Much, much harder. The explanation is that to a literate adult, reading is automatic. You can't process a written word as a squiggle, even if you try to. The meaning always gets through despite your best intentions.
Now, there are many different methods of accomplishing the feats of inducing fascination and igniting inspiration, and with them have come different schools of art as we know it. Many artists start off by wanting to share or express an image or an interpretation of an experience or vision. Since most images are themselves complex, it is no surprise to us that the resultant painting must also be complex. If the goal is to accurately depict a face, then one must include the nose, the eyes, and mouth, etc. But again, there are different methods of doing things. Impressionist painting, for example, actually bypasses some of the need for the complexity of an image. Rather than fully representing the nose, the eyes, and the mouth of a person, an impressionist sometimes manipulates the paint in such a way as to fool your brain into seeing a full face that isn't actually there. The skill of an impressionist painter is not displayed by his or her ability to reproduce a photographic image of a scene, but to produce a collage of abstract shapes which effectively combine to create a cohesive image in your mind based on your interpretation of the collective components. While the photorealist painter must understand optics and physical form, an impressionist must understand something much more complex, the human perception of vision. In fact, most people attribute the Impressionist movement with being the first of its kind to demonstrate an understanding of the optical illusion of shadows by portraying what we seem to see rather than what logically makes sense. And we can go even more abstract than that, into, well, abstract art. Clearly, one of the most famous of abstract painters was Picasso, but do you think anyone actually believed that Picasso had a clinical brain disorder which limited his visual understanding of reality to triangles and squares? Of course not. So then why would he paint people the way he did? But that's just it. Therein lies the accomplishment. With the simplistic image, he efficiently and effectively caused people to ask this very question, to be perplexed at his work, to spend time considering the images before them. His work attracts the sort of people who enjoy the challenge of trying to solve the riddle of what made Picasso tick. And what is most striking about this situation is that, regardless of whether or not people understand the intent of abstract art, both groups employ the same general standard measure of design. Those who gain pleasure from the puzzles posed by this genre of art see Picasso as a revolutionary and a genius for being able to so efficiently achieve the final goal of forcing the audience to perceive things differently, while those who do not see the goal as being met think he's a moron and an overrated member of high art. To them, his work was not interesting. To them, Picasso's work was thus unnecessarily complex because every stroke of his brush was a waste of both his time and theirs. The literary arts are no different. Language is the foremost indicator of intellect that we have on this planet because we are not telepathic, and because language is the primary means by which we communicate our most intricate ideas. By construct, in order for a word to retain meaning, its definition must be consistent between two speakers of any given language, or else miscommunication is going to occur. It is for this reason that we have dictionaries. Every word in the English language, by definition, has a definition. When you use a word in place of its definition, you are using the transitive property of mathematics to substitute a single word for the dozens of associated thoughts contained within that single word. You could do the reverse ad infinitum by expanding every word into its definition, but you don't. You consolidate your sentences to convey the meaning behind your ideas, because without meaning, the words would have no purpose and their use would not be a demonstration of intelligence. But every word exists within a larger continuum of cultural uses and applications, and so in addition to its definition, many words gain an additional layer of contextual meaning, known as a connotation. By utilizing additional layers of meaning, a poet will further simplify and condense their thoughts into very small or very few words. Poetry is the act of conveying complexity through simplicity, and like the dot experiment, it plays not on the words themselves, but on the gaps that they create.